Hello, this is Karen with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast. And today's Who Is This? Is Eli. Eli was a devoted high priest who served 40 years as a judge of Israel. He was one of the first priestly descendants to also regulate the affairs of the people. And this is also found in 1 Samuel 4 and 18. Eli was known as a good man and gave kind consideration to Hannah in her hour of great agony. And if we remember, Hannah was barren. She was barren, and she desired so greatly to have a baby. She wanted a baby so bad. And, I believe that when Eli had that compassion and showed that consideration to Hannah, that she went to God on her behalf. And I believe that this is where Samuel came into the picture. And, of course, Samuel became one of the greatest kings. But we're going to focus on Eli. Okay, his name, Eli, means high or elevated. It could also mean my God in so many words as well, such as Elijah, Eleazar, or Elisha. It was well known back in the 17th century by the Puritans. Eli's name of high priest in the Bible. However, unfortunately, Eli did fall from grace. He did make a mistake, and in that process, God punished his family. Along the way, Eli had two sons, and I am going to try to say their names appropriately as best as I can. Hophni and Aphias, or Phinehas. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it. I have difficulty with it. I can hear it 100 times, but I still have problems with enunciation. But his two sons had did immoral in the sight of God. God was not happy with these two men. Now, by Eli being a high priest, he was the judge of Israel, but he did not judge his own household. And when it came to his knowing that his two sons did some very, very bad misdeeds, that this was something that Eli ignored. It wasn't that he just didn't know. He just ignored it when it came to his table, so to speak, or to his feet. No matter what was going on in these days and times, God held the people in position at a great standings. And we all know that much is given, much is required. And in this case, much was given, but Eli failed, and he failed immensely. Now, Eli loved Samuel even after learning that his two sons were going to die for their wickedness, and that God was going to raise up another priest. Now, God, he don't waste any time. When he is ready to get rid of one, he's going to have someone soon to follow. God didn't waste any time. And it came to Eli that when he learned that his sons was doing dishonorable things, that because of his complacency, so to speak, he was very complacent, that God said, okay, well, you're going to do that. I'm going to do this. Now, the reasons why God was so upset with Eli is Eli's great dishonor. God gave him a punishment. he condemned that every man of Eli's family shall never be an old man, and that his 2 sons shall both die on the same day. That he also was going to establish a new priest and a lasting house for him. So God already let Eli know, okay, this is what we're going to do. Because you did not correct your sons and what they were doing, I am going to punish your whole household. Now, they committed acts of immorality with female worshipers at Shiloh. And they also desecrated sacrifices offered to God. The report eventually came to Eli and prophesied doom on his family, but Eli did nothing. He didn't do anything to stop the unholy act. You do not mess with God. We don't do that. And these 2 men or 2 sons were criticized for engaging in illicit behavior, and that it was inappropriate. It was not good. And so when we look at this, we're like, okay, you won't do anything about it. I'm going to do something about it. And this is very dangerous, and even in today's time. If we listen and we hear of all the reports of immorality in churches, in this day and time, during the time of Eli, God did something. But in our day and time, the people that are above these specific denominations, they are the ones that God is going to hold accountable for the things that is going on in their in these churches. And if they don't do anything, well, guess what? When God step in, God is going to not be nice. He's not going to be nice about it. He's going to bring destruction. He's going to bring corruption. He's going to allow these churches to be dragged through the mud, all on television, about all these things that are going on, and that he's going to expose them. And this is what God did even in these times. He exposed it. And when we think about the immortality, not only for women, but for children, but for elderly, it is a whole bunch that is going on in these churches that we want to keep to the darkness. It's happening in today's time. And God is pointing out that if Eli, who was the high priest, he was recognized for being a high priest. He did this for 40 years. And he would not correct his own sons for their immortality. And because of that, his whole family were going to suffer. A curse came to Eli's family. And as I am reading and I'm studying more, he was told to judge his family. He was told to judge his family for the sin that he knew, and he refused. He failed. As a father, he failed. See, you first are a father before you can become a priest. Now, if he was a priest before he had children, that's a different story. But even as a priest, whether it was before the kids or after the kids, you have to set your own family straight. I can't go out here picking apart everybody else's family until my family is straight. I can't go out here and be calling out names and saying you doing wrong and you doing wrong and my backyard is dirty. I can't do that. All I can do is say I'm doing the best I can to keep my family on the straight and narrow. I tell my daughter when she's doing wrong. I tell my son when he's doing wrong. Now, my husband, on the other hand, I can bring it to his attention, but it's up to him to turn it around. I can't make him turn it around. At least I acknowledge or I tell him, you're not doing right. This is not good. And he'll rebuttal it. He'll fight back. But the difference is this. I let him know that he was doing wrong. I let him know that his choices that he's making are not good choices. This is what we're supposed to do in our families. We can't correct anybody else's family until we correct our own. God would not allow me to be in this position if I wasn't ready for it. He would not have told me to go and do this if it wasn't a time for me to do this. However, I'm not going to say that everybody else is wrong and I'm right. No, I'm not going to say that. In this case with Eli, he was a good man before God. He did everything right and just before God. The one place where he messed up was with his children. And sometimes we are so quick to protect our kids. And we know they're wrong. We know they did something wrong. We know that they were doing mischief. And we never corrected them. Now, if we did our part and said, okay, no, this is not right. You're wrong. You better get this straight. If we done what we're supposed to do, God can hold us accountable. Because at that point, it's left in their hands. See, they're at a mindset that they can understand what they're doing. And if they're understanding what they are doing and they choose to do wrong, then God, my hands are wiped from that. I've already told them. I've already let them know. If you choose to do wrong, I've done my part. And this is where Eli failed. He did not tell them that they were. You cannot deconsecrate God's. You can't do that. You can't write God off like that. You're not supposed to disrespect God like that. Now, if they continue to do it, then God would have just killed them. Eli would not have suffered for what they have done. But Eli didn't say anything. And this is where he messed up. Now, these men were of greed and lust. They used their authority as priests to extort from the people the best meat before them for sacrifice. And this is found in 1 Samuel 2:13 through 16. And they took their portion before giving a portion to God. This is where you rob God. They were robbing God. Again, Eli never said anything. He never, ever, ever said anything to his children, to his boys. And these men were priests. But this is what happens when people get in positions. They take advantage of their authority. And they abuse it. And they misuse it. And they defile it. And this is happening even in today's time. Even in today's time. That God, he even told him, I swear or swore to the house of Eli. The guilt of Eli's house will never be atoned for by the sacrificing or offering. Meaning God is not accepting anything. He's not accepting anything. Because Eli knew better. They were all priests. Eli was the high priest. His sons were priests. And they failed. Who is this? Eli has a very, 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 very small sector in the Bible. It's probably smaller than Samson's. But we need to know and we need to learn that these things that happened in the time of Eli are happening today. That people are turning their backs on the wrongdoing and the immortality in churches, especially when it comes to women and children. And that's boys and girls, not just the little girl, it's boys and girls. They are wrecking our children. The Bible says very clear, do not provoke your child to do evil. It's there. It said don't provoke. And what happens when we provoke something, when we poke the bear, when we continually provoke the bear? The bear is going to attack. Now, as long as we leave him alone, he's fine. In Ephesians 6:4, it states, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in a nurture and admonition of the Lord. In other words, we are supposed to be loving to our children. We're supposed to be caring and bring them up in the fear of the Lord. But when they go to church and they're corrupted in church, when they're defiled in church, we're not doing our job. That's why there's so many more people not going to church, because children are the most vulnerable beings that we have. We are supposed to protect these kids. We are supposed to protect these babies. I don't care how old they are. From 0 to 17, we're supposed to protect these babies. That they are not supposed to be violated. And then you wonder why these kids turn out to go out here and violate somebody else. And then their kids go out here and violate somebody else. You've caused this creation. You created this monster in the church. Immortality does not belong in church. Immortality, where you sleeping with the women in the church, when you sleeping with the men in the church, when you are violating children in the church, that's not good. Eli knew, and he didn't do anything about it. All of these people that are above these denominations, that are head honchos, you are going to be like Eli in the sight of God if you don't stop this mess from going on in these churches. If we don't stop and we don't correct, if we do not do what we're supposed to do, God is going to punish the houses just like he did Eli. If we don't watch what we're doing, we gotta do something. We got to protect our people in these churches. And I'm not talking about just one race. I'm talking about all people. Anyone that's being violated, anyone that's being disrespected, anyone that has been just traumatized, we need to help them. Because the church, as well as these schools, as well as hospitals, are supposed to be the safest places in the world to go, and they're not. Again, who is this? Eli, the High Priest. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.